Hi, Addie. Good afternoon.
Hi, teacher. Good afternoon.
Mhm. Okay, so since tomorrow we have our quiz, our second quiz, we're going to be finishing today with the content that we have programmed. And what we're missing is to cover this unit here, B3, where we have the past continuous. And that's what we're going to be doing today. Okay, do you have any questions before we start?
No, teacher.
Okay. All right. So, we're going to watch again a video that we already watched here. And we're going to be seeing a grammar lesson here. So let's
Alia, this is what happened.
Oh, here it comes, another story.
It was about 10 o'clock one morning. I was having something to drink at this juice bar here.
Excuse me, aren't you Nick Crawford?
Yeah, that's right. Do I know you?
No, not yet, that is. I'm Jackie Baker, VP of Marketing for Kick Shoes. We're a startup company in the athletic clothing space.
Uh-huh.
And I have a very interesting proposition for you.
Keep going. I'm listening.
Why don't we meet tomorrow to discuss it? Let's say 12:30, drop by my office, we can have lunch, and I'll tell you all about it.
She offered me this deal. $100,000 just to endorse a new line of athletic shoes. I agreed to pose with the shoes on, post some stuff online a few times.
That's it.
We talked about the possibility of doing a commercial, but other than that, yeah, that's it. Easy money. Well, so I thought. I still have her business card. You can call her yourself if you like.
Jackie Baker, Kick Shoes.
For example, when Nick is telling the story of what happened when he met Jackie Baker, he's like, well, I was having something to drink here at the juice bar, and a woman approached me, right? Or a woman arrived. So I was having something to drink. Let's play this part again.
Here.
Story.
It was about 10 o'clock one morning. I was having something to drink at this juice bar here.
So it was about 10 o'clock in the morning. I was having something to drink in the juice bar here. And then this woman came. So that's what we're going to see now. We're going to be looking at the present continuous and its uses, and also the grammar part. And in order to do that, we're going to be using this presentation that I have. So do you know what is the present continuous and when we can use it?
The present continuous is when you are doing something in this moment.
Exactly. And what about the past continuous? Do you know what it is?
I know how can I explain, but it's like ella estaba trabajando.
Exactly. Careful with that structure. I don't know how I can explain. ¿No? Esas son las amber questions que habíamos visto el otro día. I don't know how I can explain. Porque es una oración. I don't know how I can explain. Orden de oración. En vez de I don't know how can I, ¿no? Esto estaría incorrecto. I don't know how I can explain this. But yes, it's like exactly like you're saying. Estaba trabajando, estaba tomando algo. So it's basically the same as the present continuous, but when we talk about past actions that were happening in progress in the past. So when do we use the past continuous? The first use is when we're talking about a past activity and we're talking about an interrupted activity which continued for a period in the past to talk about things. Okay. The first part, an interrupted activity. Eso es exactamente lo que hace Nick, ¿no? Nick dice, I was having something to drink in the juice bar when this woman appeared. Entonces, we're talking about an interrupted activity. I was having something to drink, estaba bebiendo algo, and this woman showed up. Apareció esta mujer. Entonces, su actividad, bebiendo algo, se interrumpió. Was an interrupted activity. Right? We often use the past continuous with the simple past. Usualmente los combinamos. I was having something to drink and a woman showed up. I was watching TV and the phone rang. Estaba viendo la televisión y sonó el teléfono. I was doing my homework and I don't know. And my mom arrived. So we use the past continuous usually when we talk about interrupted activities. Okay, things that were happening in the past but that were interrupted by some other thing. And we also use it to talk about things that happened in the past for a continuous or a progressive period of time. So we always use it for things that were happening in progress. So for example, I was eating lunch, right? It's something that I was doing in progress continuously. It's not something that I did only once, right? Like I didn't eat lunch in just one time. I was eating in progress lunch. That's one of the uses to talk about interrupted activities that obviously were happening in a continuous period of time in the past. Okay. Is that okay so far?
Yes. Yes.
We also use it when we want to say that somebody was in the middle of doing something. For example, he was playing computer games. So he was in the middle of playing computer games, right? It's not that he played computer games and it was a completed action, but he was doing it for a continuous period of time. Entonces estaba a la mitad de jugar juegos. He was playing computer games for a continuous period of time. It's basically the same as in Spanish, lo mismo que en español. Estaba jugando, ¿no? Estaba trabajando, estaba tomando algo cuando esta mujer apareció. When we are talking about two things that were happening at the same time, we also use the past continuous. So I was watching TV while my brother was playing on the computer. He was playing computer games while she was watching TV. I was having something to drink while my friend was having class. So when we're talking about two things that were happening at the same time in the past, I was doing this while mientras this other person was doing other things. Two things that were happening simultaneously at the same time in the past. And again, these have to be continuous things, right? Things that you do for a period of time. And this is what we were saying before, an interrupted activity for things that you were in the middle of doing when another thing happened. For example, Nick was in the middle of having his juice when the woman, Jackie Baker, sat down. So he was watching TV when Tom arrived. So I was in the middle of watching TV when Tom arrived. I was doing my homework when it started raining. Estaba haciendo mi tarea cuando empezó a llover. I was watching TV when the phone rang. No, it's the same. So interrupted activities. Entonces algo está pasando por un tiempo continuo y luego viene otra acción que la interrumpe o que pasa al medio. So those are basically the uses of the past continuous. Is that okay so far?
Yes, yes.
All right. Now, how's the structure? How do we form the past continuous? So it's pretty much the same as the present continuous, but in the past. So in the present continuous, we used to say, I am watching TV, right? So we had a subject, I, then we had a verb, the verb to be, I am. Then we had the gerund or the verb plus ing, let's say I, subject, plus verb to be, plus the ing form of the verb, right? The verb with ing. So for example, I was playing, right? It's the same as in the simple present. In the present continuous, we say, I am playing. So we have the subject, I, yo. We have the verb to be, I am, o en el pasado, past continuous, I was. And then we have the verb with the ing form. I am playing, I was playing. Basically, that is the structure. We form the past continuous with the help of the verb was or were, plus the ing form of the verb. The base form plus ing, no es present participle. No, for example, I was going. We were going. Entonces, primero el sujeto, I, luego el verbo to be, was, en pasado, y luego el verbo principal con ing. Y puede ser con otros sujetos. We were going. Obviamente, el verbo to be va a cambiar dependiendo de la persona. Si es primera persona, singular, es was, right? I was. Si es todos los plurales, son were. She, he, it, and I son con was, y you, they, we es con were. Entonces es lo mismo que el pasado del verbo to be. You were going, he was going, they were going, she was going, it was going. Right? I was going, you were going, he was going, she was going, he was going, you were going, they were going, we were going. El sujeto, el verbo to be en el pasado, y luego el verbo con el ing. Is it clear so far? Any questions?
No, no.
Okay, let's see what we have here.
Hi. You know, I was just thinking about our last class. What were we doing then? Do you remember? We were learning about the gerund. Well, today we're going to learn about the past continuous. Was thinking, were doing, and were learning are examples of the past continuous.
Okay. So as we were saying, we use the past continuous when we talk about something that was in progress at a specific time in the past. When we use the past continuous, we're not interested in when the activity ended. We're just interested in the activity. So it was about 10 a.m. I was having something to drink at the juice bar at my health club. So in the example, Nick started having something to drink before 10 a.m. We don't know what time he stopped drinking. It was about 10 a.m. He was having something to drink at the juice bar. During this entire time, around 10 a.m., he was having something to drink in a continuous way. And then it says, we form the past continuous with was, were, plus the base form of the verb plus ing. So I was working, they were working. No, puede ser was o were, dependiendo de la persona. Just as we usually do not use non-action verbs in the present continuous, we don't use non-action verbs in the past continuous. ¿no? So, los non-action verbs son los verbos que no hablan de acciones, sino de estados. Por ejemplo, Nick was having a headache. To have a headache is a non-action verb, ¿no? Porque no es una acción, sino es un estado. Le dolía la cabeza. Entonces no es le estaba doliendo la cabeza, no lo podemos hacer en continuo. So we usually don't use it with non-action verbs. We can use past continuous with while, mientras, to talk about two things that were happening at the same time. Nick was playing with the ball while he was talking to Talia. Okay? When Nick was playing with the ball, he was talking to Talia. So we are talking about two things that were happening at the same time, simultaneously. While Nick was playing with the ball, he was talking to Talia. And we can use while to join the two. Remember that we use the past continuous to focus on the activity, not the end of the activity. Often the activity is not finished. What was I saying? ¿Qué estaba diciendo? So Talia was interrupted by Nick's commercial before she finished talking about the investigation. We use the simple past to focus on the completion of the activity. Entonces, usualmente el past continuous no se utiliza para, no nos importa si se acabó la actividad o cuándo se terminó la actividad. Muchas veces no se ha acabado la actividad. What was I saying? I haven't finished saying. Pero en cambio en el simple past we often talk about the completed actions. Usualmente hablamos de acciones que ya han sido completadas. And that's basically it. So it's pretty much the same as the present continuous, but in the past, and it's the same rules as in Spanish. And I think that's what makes this lesson a little bit easier than others, because it's the same as in Spanish. Even the grammar is the same. So what do you think? Do you have any questions about that?
No, no, teacher.
Okay, very well. So we're going to practice a little bit. I have another presentation where we're going to practice using the past continuous versus or with the simple present. So let's see. Here. Okay. Okay, so before we start practicing, to see a little bit more of the difference between the past simple versus the past continuous. So here are some examples. So for example, with the past simple, as we said, we usually talk about finished actions, completed events, things that happened and that finished in the past. I lived in New York 2 years ago. He met us at the station. So these are things that happened only once in the past. These are quick things and that are finished events as well. He shut the window, switched off the light, and went upstairs. We also use the past simple when we talk about a sequence of events, a series of events in the past. So let's say I came home, I made myself something to eat, and then I went to sleep. So I'm talking about a sequence of events, and I'm using the past simple for all. But the past continuous is just to show progress in the past. I was writing a letter to my friend from 5 to 6 on Sunday. So it's something that took me longer than just 1 minute. They were playing football at 5 yesterday. So it's something that happened continuously. Or when we talk about things that are happening at the same time. My mom was cooking dinner while I was doing my English homework. So two things that were happening simultaneously in the past. Right? So the past tenses, finished actions, sequence of events. He shut up the window, he switched off the light, and he went downstairs. But we use the past continuous when we talk about simultaneous activities. Mom was cooking while I was doing my homework. Or when we want to show progress, right? And we want to talk about interrupted activities. I was cycling in the evening in progress. Estaba conduciendo, I was cycling in the evening when suddenly a man stepped on my way. So we are showing progress, no? I was cycling in the evening throughout this time and something interrupted that action, ¿no? Una acción que ha sido interrumpida. Estaba manejando y de repente algo pasó para interrumpir. And as we said, formation is pretty simple. In the past continuous, we need a subject. We need the verb to be in the past, which could be was or it could be were. And then we need the verb with ing. I was working, he was working, she was working, it was working, you were working, we were working, they were working. Todos los plurales van con were, ¿no? Y todos los singulares van con was. Simplemente eso. So, any questions before we start practicing?
No, not teacher.
Okay. For example, we have two pictures here and you have to make up a story. Tell me something that happened using both the past continuous and the past simple. So for example, we can say, she was cleaning the window or she was cleaning a window when the telephone rang, right? So she was cleaning the window in progress as a continuous thing in the past, and suddenly the telephone rang and that interrupted that action. Right? So she was cleaning the window when the telephone rang, for example. What about these two pictures here? What do you think you could say?
Kate was reading a book when the dog come.
Exactly. When the dog,
Come?
is that the past of come?
Came.
When the dog. He was reading a book when the dog came. Or maybe while Kate was reading the book, the dog came. Both are okay. Perfect. What about the next? What would you say about this?
Mike was driving a car when he saw a helicopter.
Exactly. Mike was driving a car when he saw a helicopter. Yes. What about these two pictures?
Dylan was typing when he saw a turtle.
Exactly. Dylan was diving when he saw a turtle. What about our next pictures here?
While the children was playing in the park, started to rain.
Okay. While the children were playing in the park. Right? Because children is plural. Right? Children is plural, so it's a they. When they were playing in the park, it started to rain. Okay. What about all the children were playing in the park? It started to rain. What about this one here?
While Dad was drinking coffee, Mary watched TV.
Mary, sorry.
While Dad was drinking coffee, Mary watched TV.
In this case, if the two of them were happening at the same time, you know, in the previous one, estaba bien que lo hicieras así. ¿Por qué? Porque raining o start to rain, a ver. Entonces, the children playing in the park es una actividad que pasó en progreso, ¿no? Ellos estaban jugando por un largo tiempo, pero empezó a llover, no podríamos decir estaba empezando a llover, ¿no? Empezó a llover de una sola, empezó a llover, ¿no? Un solo momento, no es algo en progreso. Entonces, podrías decir, while the children were playing in the park, it started to rain. Pero en este otro caso, si te das cuenta, ambas actividades son cosas que pasan en progreso. Y si estaban pasando al mismo tiempo, y vas a utilizar while, mientras, entonces las dos tienen que estar en pasado continuo, ¿no? While Dad was drinking coffee, Mary was watching TV. Porque si dijéramos, mientras el papá estaba tomando café, Mary vio la televisión, es como si fuese un solo momento que vio, ¿no? Pero si es algo que estaba pasando los dos simultáneamente, y vamos a utilizar mientras, entonces, mientras el padre estaba bebiendo café, Mary estaba viendo la televisión, ¿no? Los dos estaban pasando simultáneamente en ese caso. While Dad was drinking coffee, Mary was watching TV. ¿Verdad? Ambos además son acciones que se pueden hablar en progreso. Son acciones continuas. No es como, por ejemplo, start to rain, que es algo que pasa de un rato al otro. No sé si entiendes la idea.
Yes, yes.
Okay. What about this one here?
When David was doing his homework, his friends came.
What David was doing his homework, his friends came. So his friends came is something that happened suddenly, no repentinamente. So it's okay. What about these two?
When Kate was second to work, she felt hungry.
When Kate was cycling to work, she felt hungry. Okay, good. Kate was cycling to work when she felt hungry, or while she was cycling, she felt hungry. What about the next?
When the boys were playing table tennis, the school run,
The school
bell run.
bell rang, right, in the past. Exactly. So the boys were playing table tennis when the school bell rang. They were playing when the bell rang. Okay. And we have one more. Okay, that was it. So is it okay? Do you have any questions so far?
Mm.
Okay, good. See another activity. Let's see what we have in our book. Okay. So just think about what you were doing at the times on the timeline. Write notes in the boxes and take turns telling each other what you were doing at each time. Your partner responds using one. So, for example, we have, I was having a smoothie at a juice bar at 3 p.m. yesterday afternoon. What were you doing? So what were you doing at 3 p.m. yesterday afternoon? Or at 3 yesterday afternoon?
Probably I was studying in university.
Right, we're studying in the university. Exactly. What were you studying? What class were you having yesterday afternoon?
Economic class. Yep.
Okay, you were having an economics class. And what were you seeing in the class?
We were we had like a discussion of growing Bolivia. Yeah.
Okay, you had a discussion of Bolivia's growth, right?
Mhm.
All right, you had a discussion of Bolivia's growth. All right. What about last night at 9 p.m.? What were you doing?
I was
I'm sorry?
and I was taking a shower.
Okay, you were taking a shower. All right, were you getting ready for bed?
Yeah, because I went to the gym.
Okay. So you usually go to the gym at night and you take a shower and you go to bed?
Yeah, some
All right. What about an hour ago? What were you doing an hour ago?
I was doing my homework.
Okay. Last Saturday morning, what were you doing? Do you remember?
Probably I was playing volleyball.
Okay. Do you play for a team or something, or is it just for fun?
Just for fun.
Just for fun, okay. What were you doing this time last year? So around these months, let's say September, October, what were you doing last year?
Last year I had a project about I know how to say feria.
You can say a festival.
Yeah, something like this. A festival about food, fast food, and desserts. Yeah, this. Maybe I was preparing the things for this.
Okay, you were preparing everything. You were getting everything ready for the festival. What about how many years ago would this be? 18 years ago in 2005. What were you doing? Do you remember?
Probably I was playing with my toys because I burned in 2003 I
Mhm.
was 2 or 3 years.
Okay. So you were 2 or 3 years old. So yes, you probably were playing with your toys by then. Okay, good. Okay. That is what we had for the past continuous tense. Let's see, we're here. Okay. Now, technically, that will be the most important part, but we have other little points as well that maybe we can review very quickly. So here, for example, we have modals of preference. So different ways of expressing your preference, what you prefer, what you want. So there are actually two main verbs to talk about preferences. And actually, this is useful for the TOEFL test because many times we have to talk about our preferences. So one of them is the verb prefer, and the other one is the expression would rather. Both mean exactly the same, and both can be used in the same context, but the grammar is a little bit different for each. So for example, we can use prefer and we can use would prefer to talk about preferences, things that we like better than others. Both of them are exactly the same, but obviously when you use would, it's more like an imaginary type, and it sounds more polite, right? It sounds a little bit more polite. Let's say that you are in a restaurant and somebody's, I don't know, inviting you to dinner, and I don't know, maybe the waiter says, would you like to have, I don't know, a steak or beef? And then you can say, well, I would prefer, and then I would prefer steak, please. So instead of saying I prefer, I would prefer if it's possible. So it's just a little bit nicer, a little bit more polite than prefer directly, but both of them are okay. So for example, would you like to have a seat? No, I prefer to stand, or I would prefer to stand. Would you like a cup of tea? Thanks, but I prefer coffee. So for example, in this case, would you like a cup of tea? It's an offering, and Talia says, thanks, but I would prefer coffee if it's possible, right? So it's just a nicer and more polite way of expressing our preferences. Now, how do we use these verbs, prefer and would prefer? Pretty simple. We can use them with nouns. So for example, I prefer, let's say, I prefer coffee. Coffee is a noun. I prefer tea. I prefer water. I prefer sodas. I prefer, let's say, volleyball over football. So I prefer volleyball. So we are using it with nouns, with things. But we can also use it with verbs. We can use it with verbs. And in order to use it with verbs, we need to either use to or the verb or the gerund. For example, I prefer to have a seat. Prefiero sentarme. I prefer to have a seat. Estamos poniendo el to porque ahora estamos hablando de una acción, ¿no? De un verbo. I prefer to have a seat, to have. I prefer to play volleyball. I prefer to drink coffee. So if we're going to use a verb, you can use the infinitive with to. I prefer to stand. I prefer to drink coffee. I prefer to play volleyball. I prefer to watch movies. But we can also use the gerund. We can use the verb plus ing. For example, I prefer drinking coffee. I prefer standing. I prefer shopping. She prefers shopping online. So those are the two ways that we can use the verb prefer. We can use it with verbs, or we can use it with nouns. It can be followed by the infinitive form. She prefers to shop online, or it can be followed with the gerund. She prefers shopping online. Both of them are exactly the same, and both of them are correct. Entonces tenemos prefer y would prefer. Vamos a usar con nouns, con cosas. I prefer coffee, I prefer volleyball, I prefer books, I prefer movies, I prefer laptop computers. Or we can use it with verbs, actions. I prefer to have a laptop computer. I prefer to practice volleyball. I prefer to read books. I prefer to watch movies. And when we use it with verbs, we can use the infinitive to watch movies, to play volleyball, or the gerund. I prefer watching movies. I prefer playing volleyball. All right, so basically that's it with the verb prefer. Pretty simple. What do you think? Do you have any questions about this?
Yeah, so it's the same. Say she prefers to shop online, or she prefers shopping online.
Yes, it's exactly the same.
Okay.
Exactly the same. Okay. Now the other one is the one that's not so well known, but it's also very common, to be honest, and it's very good, especially when you want to repeat or use prefer too much or overuse. And that expression is would rather. Ahora, este would rather siempre es con would, no es como el prefer, que puede ser prefer o would prefer. El would rather siempre es con would, siempre es con ese modal. So for example, we can say, I would rather pay her a visit. Preferiría darle una visita. I would rather pay her a visit. I would rather sit down. I would rather, let's say, finish this project first. Ahora, el would rather solamente se puede utilizar con verbos. Es decir, no se pueden utilizar con nouns como el prefer. No podemos decir, I would rather coffee. Siempre es con un verbo. I would rather have a coffee. Have a cup of coffee. Entonces, el would rather es más especial. Solo tiene un uso, es para hablar de acciones con verbos. Y no hay necesidad de usar el to, en este caso. Directamente, I would rather have coffee. I would rather have coffee. El verbo está en su forma básica. Tampoco lo puedo usar con ing, simplemente en su forma básica. I would rather have coffee, I would rather play volleyball, I would rather stay. Siempre en la forma básica. No se puede usar con nouns, no puedo decir I would rather coffee. Si voy a usar un noun, tengo que decir I prefer coffee instead of I would rather. Okay, entonces es would rather. El negativo no se utiliza mucho, entonces la verdad es que no es muy común, pero técnicamente el negativo va después del rather. Es decir, no va después del would, como uno esperaría, wouldn't. No hacemos wouldn't y would not, sino que el not va después de rather, ¿no? Por ejemplo, I would rather not have coffee. Preferiría no tomar café. I would rather not stay here. I would rather not be here for long. Pero la verdad es que no es muy común y es muy usado. Entonces, si uno va a decir algo negativo, entonces más probable usar prefer. Por ejemplo, I would prefer not to stay here. ¿No? Entonces, el would rather not se utiliza, pero no tanto. Y además se puede abreviar. Es decir, igual que el would en cualquier otro contexto se puede contraer, en este contexto también. I would es simplemente una apóstrofe con una D. Ese es el would. I would, I'd rather. She would, she'd rather. Right? It works with every single pronoun. She'd rather, he'd rather, we'd rather, they'd rather. I'd rather drink coffee. I'd rather play volleyball. Or I'd rather not sit down. So maybe you should ask John for help with this story. I'd rather not. Preferiría no. I'd rather not. I want to cover this story by myself. So basically that's it with the would rather. To be honest, the most important use is when we're talking about sentences. I'm sorry, when we're talking about actions, verbs. And the only thing that you have to remember is that it's always with would, and you can contract that would as well. I'd rather pay her a visit. We use would to form questions with prefer and rather. So we can use this would to form questions with both. Would you rather? Would you prefer? Would you prefer to sit down? Would you rather to sit down? Or with prefer, we can also use do. Do you prefer coffee or tea? Would you prefer to have coffee or to drink tea? So both of them are correct because prefer is just like a normal verb, right? So we can use it with modals or we can use it alone. No problem. So that's would rather and prefer. What do you think about this? Do you have any questions so far?
The negative form of I would prefer not.
No, in that case, I wouldn't prefer.
I wouldn't. Okay.
Wouldn't prefer. Or I don't prefer, right? If we don't use would prefer. I don't prefer.
But with the rather, I would rather not.
Exacto. Es que lo que pasa es que prefer es un verbo como cualquier otro. Es decir, es un verbo como do, como sing, como take, cualquier verbo. Entonces tiene las mismas reglas. I prefer, I don't prefer, do you prefer, funciona exactamente igual. Y como cualquier verbo se puede usar con el modal would para hacerlo más amable, ¿no? Porque igual que like. I like coffee, I would like coffee. I want coffee, I would want coffee. Entonces el would se puede utilizar con cualquier verbo. Y lo negativo de would es wouldn't. Entonces el prefer, como cualquier verbo, aplica las mismas reglas. Por ejemplo, decimos, I wouldn't want to interrupt. I wouldn't prefer to be here. Right? So it works in the same way as in every other verb. Pero rather sí es especial. Y por eso tiene estas reglas especiales. La primera, que no se puede usar con nouns, solo con verbos. I would rather do, I would rather see. Y la segunda, que el negativo viene después del rather, ¿no? I would rather not. Entonces, any other question?
No.
Okay. I don't think there's something else. This is it. It's just about practicing. Let's practice a little bit. Let's see what we have in our book. Okay. It says divide the questions in a chart so each student has 3 questions. Find out the answers from the other people in your group. Is rather or prefer to us for the reasons. Okay, write the reasons and tell the answers in the chat. Okay. So I'm going to ask you about some of your preferences and try to answer by using would rather or prefer, or would prefer, whichever you want. But try to maybe combine the both. So would you prefer to stay at home for a quiet evening or would you rather go out dancing? What do you think?
I would prefer to stay in my home because I think that I can maybe I can spend more time with myself when I am in my home.
What would you do if you stayed at home?
Maybe watch some movies or sing too. I love singing. I love to sing. Maybe play my ukulele.
Okay. All right, nice. What about the second? Would you prefer to pay your friend a visit at home or would you prefer to meet your friend at a club?
I prefer pay my friends at my home because I think we have the opportunity to know each other more if we are in my home, because in a club maybe it's more noisy or
Okay. So don't forget, you prefer to see your friend at home, right? Prefer to see. If we're going to use a verb, you can say I prefer seeing or paying or meeting, or I prefer to see, to pay, to meet. Okay, great. So yes, you have the chance to get to know each other more when you pay your friend a visit at home. Right? Pay your friend a visit. To pay a visit means visitar. Right? To pay a visit. Okay. What about the next? Do you prefer comedies or dramas, and why?
I would prefer to watch a drama because it's more interesting for me.
Okay, it's more interesting and fun. Do you have any examples of maybe any drama movies or series that you have recently seen?
Maybe a combination of drama and mysterious, like what's the name? Intervention, I guess is the name. Yeah, it's a series of Netflix. And the Society is like a drama and mysterious of the teenagers in a city. Yeah, that's
Very nice. So you like maybe mystery, right? Mystery. Let's say um, mystery movies or mystery series. Okay. What about the next? Would you prefer to get up bright and early, or do you prefer getting up late?
I would prefer to get up pretty early because I am a morning person. Yeah, that's
All right, you're a morning person. All right, that's nice, and I honestly that's really helpful to be more productive. What time do you usually get up?
every day I have classes in the morning, but sometimes before I usually go to the gym.
Very nice. Okay. Would you rather find an easy way to make money or work hard at a job that you love?
I would prefer to work hard at job that I love because maybe if you love your job, you can put more passion maybe, and you feel more I don't know how to say impulsada.
More driven?
Yeah, more driven. Yeah.
Okay, great. So yes, when you love your job, you love what you do, it doesn't even feel like a job. And if it's your passion, then you'll probably be good at it. And yes, as you say, you feel more driven, you put more effort, you have more energy. What about the next? Would you prefer taking a walk in a park or working out at a health club?
I would prefer to take a walk in park because in this way you have the opportunity to do something else like listening music or thinking in other things. I don't know.
Okay, good. Yes, you have the opportunity of doing other things simultaneously, right at the same time. Like listening to music, okay? What about the next? Do you prefer playing sports or watching sports?
I prefer to play sport, but I think it depends. If I am so bored, I play sport, but if I am so tired, I watch the sport.
So if you're bored, you would play a sport, but if you're tired, you can watch it. Okay. What about the next? Would you rather pay with cash if you're buying something or if you're like let's say in a restaurant, or would you rather use your credit card or debit?
I prefer to use a credit card because it's easy to use this. Maybe um, you can have all money in one card.
Yes, it's easier, it's more convenient to pay by credit card. Because yeah, as you said, and also you're not, it's more convenient, right? It's just you don't have to carry around a wallet. What about the next? Would you rather have a pizza or eat at an expensive restaurant?
I would rather to um, have a pizza, but it depends on my mood of this day, maybe. Because if I need to or I have to celebrate something, obviously I would rather to eat an expensive restaurant. But it's something like a meeting of friends, I would prefer to have a pizza.
Great. Yeah, it depends on the day. You would rather eat, right? Remember that after rather, you don't need the word to. You would rather eat at an expensive restaurant or you would rather have a pizza. Right? Don't forget. All right, so yeah, I guess it depends. Pizzas are cheaper, so you can save money. But yes, if it's a special occasion you're celebrating, maybe you would rather eat at an expensive restaurant. Right? So yes. Is that okay? Do you have any questions about this activity or the use of both expressions, both verbs?
No.
Any questions at all before your exam tomorrow?
No, but I had a problem with the last assignment. Creo que le saqué foto, pero hay una tarea que me calificó como 0 todo por las mayúsculas. Pero según yo no tiene sentido que tenga mayúsculas esa parte.
Was it the last one? The one that that you did yesterday or today?
No, las antes de eso.
It was grammar?
Give me a second.
Vocabulary maybe.
Yes, it was a grammar.
Okay.
I send you by WhatsApp.
Okay, thank you. Okay, what should I wear? It was okay. Embedded questions, right? Let's see. Okay. So you used capital letters and they said that you didn't have to use them.
Yeah.
Okay. So with embedded questions, you actually don't have to use capital letters because it's part of the other question or the other sentence.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
But let's see, don't worry about it. We can. This one. Okay, it was this one here, right? Grammar embedded for you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to delete what we have assigned and I'll reassign only that part so that you can submit it again.
Okay.
It's embedded question. Okay. So it's done. You have the chance to submit it again. Okay.
Okay, teacher. Thank you.
Okay. So any other questions before we go?
No, no, teacher.
All right, then I will see you. Well, don't forget the daily survey, and I'll be seeing you tomorrow.
Okay, teacher. Done. Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Bye bye.